Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard.
I'm Liz, and this is Laugh of the World.
We welcome you back post-road trip. So we just returned from quite an epic road trip.
I was just about to say, I think it was quite the epic road trip.
Yep, out to Oregon, from Tennessee to Oregon, was the original plan for NS Expo 2021. And,
Not quite what we did, though.
That's mostly what happened, but what we wanted to do is make this video today where we talk about kind of the scope creep that was involved in this, and then break it down kind of by the numbers. We've actually gotten a lot of questions kind of as we were on the road in the comments through our entire daily vlog series about, things like gas mileage and obviously our kind of, food shenanigans that we had there, as well as other things. So we're going to break it down by the facts and figures, and then we're also going to share a few stories that were pretty interesting or funny, but didn't make it into one of the daily vlogs for whatever reason. But, where do we even start?
I think we just start how it was supposed to go. So what our plan was. So
versus what actually happened.
Yes.
Here in a second.
The way out there went according to plan, other than the CV boot.
Yeah, but driving direction-wise, we kind of deliberately took a little bit of a detour through Iowa and Nebraska, but otherwise, it was pretty much the straight shot over to Oregon, getting to the event, outside of aforementioned shenanigans with with our CV boot and...
Yeah, and then after the event, realistically, it went as planned. We went to Colorado, which was the plan to visit family and celebrate a birthday. Mm-hmm. So after that is when it went awry. Yeah.
So the original plan then was just to go from northern Colorado, where we were meeting with family, kind of south to Denver, and then basically straight back across Kansas, Missouri, et cetera, et cetera.
The exciting drive we've done a billion times.
Yeah. Instead, we got the offer that we couldn't turn down to go and be part of the NSX Type S launch and what turned into the Acura Integra announcement for 2022. So good things to get excited about there.
Yep, which then ended up being an exciting drive through Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and California.
Yeah, so we'll get to the...
I guess Wyoming was in there.
We'll have the state. We'll have the state count for you here in a second.
Yeah.
But so our original plan had us driving I don't remember what the exact math on that was.
Well, after our scenic drives and everything, it was just shy of 6,000 miles.
Right. So we kind of, when we were proposing this in the first few titles of our daily vlog, we're kind of advertising a 6,000-mile road trip. Yeah. Which, if the math had worked out as originally, would have been very, very close to that.
We got it. Maybe a little over.
Yeah, so how far did we actually drive,
Well,
Liz?
I'll give my drum roll. 8,327 miles.
Yeah, so Liz went through and detailed out all of our stuff, went back on Google Maps to kind of verify everything, and then I had recorded the miles from the track day that we added in as far as the miles we drove the car to kind of arrive at that number. So when she sent that number to me, I added the track numbers to it. And so I just thought it would be fun for some perspective if you actually stretched out this all into a single roadway. That would be the third longest road in the world, right behind the Trans-American Highway. That's maybe not the appropriate name, and Australia's Highway 1. So for those of you who are down under, what we essentially did distance-wise was start in Sydney and then head south and take the long way around to get back to Brisbane. Or for those of you on that adorable little island, the UK, this would be the equivalent of starting off at Dover, driving to the north coast of Scotland and back, and then repeating that 5 times before realizing you'd forgotten your wallet in Scotland and heading back up once more. So...
I don't even know how many kilometers that is. I feel like...
It'll be on the screen.
We will add it in.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, realistically, then we should talk about our actual drive time.
Yeah.
How many hours were we actually on the road?
So we're normal people, or folks in Europe, I think, it's the common thing to just state the distance you're traveling in kilometers. However, at least where we live in the U.S., it's pretty common you just say the time You know, I talk about
Because it really depends on how fast you drive.
How long does it take for me to get from here to, like, you know, the town where my aunt lives or something like that? Well, it's a 30-minute drive, right? I don't care how many miles it is. It takes me 30 minutes. So that's what's important. But in this case, you know, given that we are not part of that fraternity of lunatics that will go from New York to LA in 25 hours and change.
We considered it. And the funny thing is a lot of people, when we talked to on our way back, assumed we were doing it all in one sitting.
Yeah, we had a couple of people in a gas station be like explaining to, or I guess the clerk was explaining to a lady that we were probably doing a cannonball run of some kind. Yeah. And I was like, no, I know some of those guys. We're amateurs, trust me.
Well, even right before we left, several of the NSX Club people were like, oh, wow, 34 hours. I mean, that's going to be a lot. Do you guys just sleep? And I was like, no, we're going to stop like 3 times.
Yeah, no, we're junior varsity there.
Well, but
best.
Also we weren't trying. If we were really trying, we could have done it maybe in 2 days. I think we potentially could have done it in 2 days if we were really trying.
Yeah, without mainlining Red Bull or something.
Exactly.
But anyhow,
which we talked about.
So I think our total that we came up with, and we can break this up by segment, was basically 135 person hours of driving in total.
Versus what kind of hours?
Well, meaning that we were splitting the drive.
Oh, okay.
So we were both driving as opposed to one person covering 135 hours.
The opposite of person hours.
Anyway.
Yeah. So we split the drive, and it ended up being, I think, for the most part, other than our drive from Colorado? No. What? Yeah. Overall, it was our drive from Oregon to Colorado was about 12 hours.
Yeah.
But other than that, most of our stints were about 40 hours.
Yeah. So on the way out to Oregon was about 40. On the way from Colorado down to Southern California was not quite 40. It ended up being that way. Like if you mapped it out, it wouldn't be, because we got stuck in a massive traffic jam in Utah and a couple of other snags or delays. It ended up being closer to 40. Those are all kind of like 32 to 35 hours if you map them, but we figured out that with necessary stops for sanity and health and and then time zone changes depending on which direction you were going.
It was real nice going west. We're just gaining hours.
And it really sucked coming back east.
Well, yeah, because we would have to go, okay, so it's 12 hours from here to here, but we have to add an hour just for like gas stops and bathroom breaks. And then we have to add an hour for the time change that we're losing.
Yeah, that was kind of brutal.
So a 12-hour day is actually 14 hours.
So you alluded to this earlier, but I think the next thing we wanted to talk about was our state count, which was impressive, I guess, and more so than intended.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's respectable. Total, we went through and legitimately through, not just cut the corner.
Yeah, we debated popping up into Washington just to say that we did.
Yeah. But also there were a ton of stuff to see over that bridge.
It's apparently a really cool area, just on the other side of, I think, I-83 across the Columbia River Gorge there. And it was right there. I mean, we drove past the bridge probably 3 different times, but we were either in a hurry to get to the hotel to change an axle, or we were in a hurry. We needed to get from the track to the social event, or we needed to get
to Idaho to have dinner.
To Idaho to hang out with friends. So it's just like every time we were going past there, or we were doing part of NS Expo and trying to get back for the next event in NS Expo. So
but the truth is,
anyway,
we'll be back.
Yeah,
we'll be back. There are plenty of tracks.
There are at least 2 more tracks in Oregon and several in Washington. So
okay. So I said it already, but we went through a total of 18 states.
Mm-hmm. Which we're starting in Tennessee.
So we're starting in Tennessee. So you ready? Let's try this. Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa.
The Nebraska.
I just was guessing Iowa. I couldn't remember. Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon.
Yeah.
And then those back again.
Then back
Colorado.
Back through Idaho and Wyoming to Colorado.
Then Oh, we forgot Utah on the way
Yeah,
out.
I guess
so we'll just add Utah.
we did
in
go
on the
through
way
a
back.
corner of Utah, but it makes more sense to add it because we went through the whole state on the way
Yeah.
back. So
So Utah,
Nevada,
Arizona, New Mexico. No, New Mexico's on the way back. California.
I think actually Arizona was on the way back.
No, Arizona was on the way back.
Okay.
Way out too.
We cut their
because
corner
we
of
cut,
it.
and we were like, wait, we didn't even know we were going through Arizona.
Yeah,
What,
okay.
did we go the wrong way? And I started looking at the map to make sure.
Yeah, so Arizona, then California,
Then California.
and on the way back,
Then
Arizona again,
New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then Tennessee.
Yep. So that is, again, total of 18 states there, and 2 of those were new for the NSX and myself.
Yeah.
That was Iowa and Nebraska. Had not been through those previously.
I kind of want to get one of those the
scratch-off things?
Either the scratch off or the sticker ones. Like when I was a kid, we had a pop-up camper and we had a sticker. You just like put the stickers of the states on there.
We put it like somewhere.
I was gonna say we need to put it somewhere in the garage.
Either in the garage or we could do it like inside the trunk or the frunk of the NSX or something like that. Because
then it would melt. Maybe in the front.
Well, I mean, maybe not. If it was high quality vinyl, it wouldn't. We know people. Anyway, so the next thing though that
let's talk about money.
Let's talk about money. So we're just going to ignore the event cost for NS Expo because that's just kind of
It's implied.
It is what it is. It's implied. This is purely road trip cost. So if you were going out to Oregon to do whatever it was that you wanted to do from Tennessee, and or covering 8,000 miles in a quote unquote sitting, then this is, maybe what you could look forward to. Now, we did this at a particularly bad time, especially with gas, because although in most parts of the country, I think we still were somewhere in the low $3 a gallon, it definitely wasn't the mid-COVID, under $2 a gallon.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
That would have been amazing. We would have probably halved our fuel cost. But
well, speaking of, what is our total in fuel, Richard?
Total in fuel was about $1,100. And again, we kind of saw a minimum of about $3.20 a gallon and a maximum, thank you California, of $5.40 a gallon.
And this is for premium.
Yeah, this is all whatever we could find, whatever the highest grade we could find at the pump, which was 93 out east and 91 typically out west.
I think we found 90. There were a couple places it was 90.
90, yeah. I try not to do a full fill there,
Yeah.
but because that's kind of getting close to that thing there. But yeah, that $5.40 a gallon, that's actually probably approaching what our European friends would expect to pay. It's still, I think, $1 a gallon less if you do the conversion to whatever they pay in liters.
Yeah.
So we could feel a little bit of your pain there for a minute, but just in California,
Yeah.
fortunately.
So, and then just bringing it back though, just because we did talk about this in another video.
Yeah.
But basically we were averaging about 26 miles a gallon.
Yeah, just shy of that,
Yeah,
I think was our
just- yeah.
calculation. We did it a couple of times.
Except for where you were a little lead-footed on the track.
Yeah, we did the track day calculation as well because somebody was curious, and that was more like 10 miles to the
Yeah.
gallon, which I guess for a track day it's not terribly bad compared to some other things.
Listen, there are some cars on the road that
Yeah.
get a lot worse than that. So.
That is very true. So
yeah.
next we had lodging.
Yeah. So we paid a little bit more for lodging, and for the most part, we did pretty well on prices. But we ended up at about $1,800 for lodging. And now,
Yeah.
is that including Expo though?
That includes the resort for
Okay.
Expo, which
So,
was a
yeah.
little pricier per night.
Well,
but,
so I just figured I would at least
but it was
put
a
that out there.
resort, not like
Yeah.
a chain hotel.
Yeah.
So
So that does include the track hotel, motel, and the event resort.
yeah, so
we
that
stayed
that
at.
is all evenings, and then obviously we didn't have any we had a couple of freebies in there, but
So I think if prices wise, do we want to say the least and the most we paid for hotel rooms?
if I remember correctly,
I know what it is.
You know what it is? Okay,
Yeah.
well, if you know what it is, go ahead.
Well, I don't remember what it is for Oregon, the resort, Oregon
oh
Garden.
yeah, well that wasn't the most, I don't think,
Okay.
per night.
Okay, so
shockingly.
the least we paid was for the Tall Winds Motel in Morrow. And although if you look it up on Google, it looks like you may be murdered, it is actually a fantastic little motel.
Yeah, it's super clean. It's like
We need to leave them a great review. We haven't
yeah,
yet,
it's like it's a couple that run it, and it's very clean, tidy, and
it's got 12 rooms and it's 10 minutes from the track.
Yeah, very nice. All
And
modern conveniences. The showers are a little tight, I guess, if you're a bigger person, but that's
well,
the only.
if you're a shorter person,
that's the only
the
complaint.
shower basically hits you directly in the face. It's really, but overall, yeah, that was it. I highly recommended.
Yeah. So that was the least.
Yeah, that was the least. The
And
most,
very well worth it.
yes, very very worth it. And the most we paid is $240.
For a daggum what?
That was for a Comfort Inn,
Yeah.
and not even the best Comfort Inn we stayed at.
It's like in middle of Nebraska.
It was
Comfort
middle of
Inn.
Nebraska, and that was probably the most like heated we got for the whole trip, and not at each other.
Yeah, no.
So basically what was happening is, as we were driving, usually whoever's in the passenger seat would be looking at like, okay, we're going to stop at this roughly this location.
Mm-hmm.
So we would start looking. And I started looking around where we were going to stay. Everything seemed to be booked up. There was nothing available. So I finally just called the number to see if I could book it. And they were like, well, all of these are booked, but we could recommend this Comfort Inn. And it was like $240 a night. Or it was like $219 or something after tax. It was $240.
Right.
And I was like, no, we're not going to pay that much. Like, I'll call back. I'll find someplace else. And so then we looked around. I went to a totally different chain, tried it again. And again, we got the same thing. They were offering, it wasn't $240 online on the phone. It was $207 after taxes.
Yeah.
And I was still like, no way, not paying it. So then we were starting to run out where we were like, okay, there's a lot of really crappy places we could stay, or we could drive a lot further to some place, or we just say, screw it. And, the night before is when we stayed in kind of a sketchy place.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, not the nicest Best Western we've ever stayed in.
It was a really I did not love it. I was feeling the reminiscent to the weird construction worker talking to us behind that other creepy.
In 2018.
There were like just people hanging out. Anyway, really, we just kind of decided, you know what, screw it. It's more expensive. We will try to save money later. Let's just go for the $240 and just do it. We get to the hotel, we walk in the door, somebody else walks in at the same time. So we're checking in with one person, he's checking in. He just walks in off the street, right?
Like, do you guys have any availability
Yeah.
tonight? And the guy's like, yeah, we have one king room for like $70 less than what we were paying. And as it turns out, Liz, we were kind of steamed about this. So that some of our next morning was spent like fuming and then researching where we went wrong.
Well, it was actually, I spent some, I'm very nice to customer service people because I understand that it is a tough job.
Yeah,
so
we did not beat up the front desk
We did
person
not beat
at
up the front desk. However, I did ask her questions and say, we booked online and got this rate. Why can't we get that rate? And she said, well, you booked through a third party, so we can't do anything about that. And I was like, no, we didn't book through a third party. We booked through your website. And she said, no, our website links you to Choice Hotels, which is a third party, and we have no control over that. In fact, I can't even print you a receipt.
Yeah. So if you're staying at any of the quote unquote Choice Hotels properties, don't book through Choice Hotels.
No, don't book through Choice Hotels, because what we figured out when we started researching is they charge an additional $70 just for their own fee.
Yeah, it's a handling fee, basically. Yeah. So, having learned our lesson, we remembered
that's the phone or their website.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Phone or website, don't use it. Go to any third-party website. We ended up using Booking.com for the rest of the trip because we had an account there and it worked fantastically.
Yeah.
I think
we stayed at much better Comfort Inns after that.
For much less money.
Yeah,
so that was kind of the shenanigans there. So that's their pro tip takeaway this time. Don't use Choice Hotels. Use a third-party booking app. Use Booking. Use Hotels.com. Use Kayak. Whoever it is you want to use that isn't Choice Hotels.
Yeah.
So that being said, our next category is one that we don't, fortunately, usually have to account for on these, but we did have $250 in kind of mission critical car parts that we paid for between an axle and a couple of boots.
So I think the more important thing is, how much did we spend in food?
Everybody wants to know. So we kind of did the math for you ahead of time on the meals that we packed with us for dinners. Those were, roughly $10 a pop to feed both of us. We also had some kind of adult Lunchables, I guess if you want to call it that, for our lunches that we were using. And those are what, like $3-4 bucks?
Yeah, like $3-4.
Sure. We round them to $5 each. So
I think everybody knows what we're talking about. They're, it's like a Lunchable, but with like salami and,
or organic and other,
they're hippie adult Lunchables.
Hippie adult Lunchables, but so
things that didn't make me feel weird about eating them.
A little bit more than your traditional yellow package items, but we had a chunk of total there where we were probably $150. We met our friend in Idaho. And because we were, he was in stuff that we took bending to our schedule. Now, eating on the road, picked up the tab. We had a total of no problem there, and then we had another section of that was kind of ancillary stuff at the resort. Only 75 of that was during the actual driving portion.
I was just about to say. So how many days were we actually driving?
Yes. We were total 16 days out, minus probably 5 days for Expo where we were fed. Yeah, so that was for. I mean, we were on
for the most. Well, if you think about it, from Wednesday, Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were fed.
Yeah.
So.
And
so we have to say 6 days because my sisters.
Yes. Okay. That's what I was trying to count that in, but I couldn't figure it out. And then we had one other dinner covered because the Acura event that we attended in Carmel we were very well fed there. To Expo's credit this year, I think it was actually every meal was accounted for, which was neat.
Every meal.
But that was total $250, only about $75 though on the road, just because we weren't stopping and eating out, and we felt that was better for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's better for our wallet, better for our waistlines. I don't think either of us, not that we're going to talk about that too much here, but like neither of us gained a single pound.
No, which is unusual for a road trip.
Yeah, for that being on the road that long away from your normal cooking habits and things, you end up almost invariably eating too much junk. Yeah. But we seem to balance it out, I guess, enough.
Now, did we figure out how much that is per day?
No,
on the road day.
I didn't do that in the math, but it's very, very little.
Yeah, I mean, because I bet we spent less money on the road than we do at home. That's
probably accurate. I'll make you do that math next time before you go grocery shopping next time. But
damn it.
So that covers all the expenses there. I didn't get a total tally for that, but somewhere in the range of $3,000 in just travel expenses.
But I had a great time.
Yeah, no regrets to that. No. But
so during this whole trip, we did use Waze, the app, to be able to for directions, but also Waze came in really handy with stuff like letting us know there were objects on the road, which frankly there were a lot of.
So historically we'd used Google Maps a lot, and I'd kind of been clued into Waze by watching the Cannonball Nerds, and I was like, okay, well, if those guys use it, then it's probably legit. So I was like, let's try it out. And I think we tried it out briefly on the way back from a non-car related vacation earlier in the year. So then we were like, okay, we're just going to, we'll just queue it up and see how it goes for this trip.
Well, for the first day, we had both Waze and Google open for a little bit.
Yeah, to kind of compare and see what was going on. But I think
Waze became far and away more useful.
Yeah, I mean, the direction's roughly the same, but I think it's the ancillary information that you get that makes the difference there, and the ease of reporting things.
Sorry, I was just thinking that you're lucky that I didn't figure out that we could adjust the voices.
Oh yeah.
Until after we got back.
That's bad.
But anyway, so no, it is the fact that it's the ease of reporting. So really, when you're looking at it, it's giving you directions, and then it says, you have a little button that you can report right then that there's a car off the road, there's something on the road, you can report it right away. But the other thing is it pops up that says, caution, there's a car off the road. And it gives you the option of saying, yes, that car's still there, or no, it's not.
Yeah, or there's debris in the lane, which there was a lot of on this trip, or there's police ahead, which there were a lot of on this trip.
Yeah.
We avoided any imperial entanglements,
We did, shockingly.
but we weren't pushing it too hard. But yeah, so I think that was definitely a win and a good decision to use that. We ended up making, I think, 144 of our own reports.
Yeah, we did. We reported a lot
By
because we had, 135 hours on the road.
By the end of the trip, though, we actually had become like ranked somehow.
Yeah.
So I think we were.
We had 0 points when we left.
Yeah.
And so we ended up with, I don't remember how many points, but it was 24,000 points,
Yeah, give or
something
take.
like that. And then we were ranked overall in all states.
Yeah.
We were ranked 66,000th place.
Yeah.
But in Tennessee,
Yeah.
we were rated 5th.
We were rated 5th in Tennessee for those couple of
5th
weeks.
place. Yeah. I'm sure that's dropping drastically now that we've been trying to
we've been
drive some. But
sitting still for a couple of days.
it's a little weird to not be.
Yeah, we haven't had to
driving, yeah.
calculate a time zone or book a hotel after lunch or anything like that.
It's weird.
In like several days. It's bizarre.
Although I think our snack today was some leftover road trip snacks. So
Maybe just a little bit.
yeah. So the only thing I wanted to touch on is the voices for Waze, and if you haven't tried it out, so you can adjust the volume, like if you want it to only give you alerts or if it wants to give you directions. But you can not now, I don't know, maybe you've always been able to, but you can choose from all these different voices, like like with Google, you can choose like a female or a male from the US, female or male from, the UK, whatever.
Yeah, and you can do this with all the various different accents and nationalities
So
for the
you
most
can do
part.
the same thing in Waze, but the other things that you can do is I figured out you can do weird things like boy band, which
She's
randomly
way too entertained with.
it randomly sings the directions
It's like
to
it's
you.
bad auto-tune
Yeah,
singing.
So it amused me when it happened, but then I didn't realize when we went to the grocery store the other day that Waze was still running. I didn't have directions on because I didn't need directions to the store, but Waze was still running, and so it all of a sudden was like, red light, camera ahead, like this, like my phone just starts singing to us randomly. Anyway. So if you need some excitement in your life, check out the different voices.
Yes, that's very, very entertaining. Anyway, so the last thing we wanted to actually cover with you was some of the more entertaining stories that we had from the road that didn't make it into one of the daily vlogs for whatever reason.
We kind of alluded to, or I said something on it earlier, but realistically, just the amount of stuff that was on the road was surprising. At some point, I was
You had your usual, semi-tire chunks and stuff like that.
But at some point, I was trying to go to sleep, and all of a sudden, we are like whipping all over the interstate. And there was an entire big, plastic tote that was just smashed in pieces.
There were more than one of them.
Yeah.
So you woke up and saw the second one, but there were two more. Like there's a reason that I was over 2 lanes. Fortunately, the road was pretty empty at that time in the evening, but that was more entertaining than I would have liked.
I think at some point there was I was dodging mattress covers and tires, and there were just stuff, some metal piece. We ended up pulling off some because there was some metal piece and pipe that it was just I didn't see it come back out. So we pulled off so
section
that we
of
could
PVC.
look.
I think is what we think it is, but. So anyway, and you see, you start to realize why that is because you see some of the ridiculous things that people are doing on the roads. We had a couple of trailers that were just cruising along with, just missing a tire. Not semi-trailers, mind you, but people towing a big car trailer with a truck on it. Or I don't remember what the other one was.
That was in one of the videos.
Yeah, we snuck that one in there.
I'm surprised nobody has caught it.
Yeah, so far nobody caught it. Go back and make a comment on that if you know where it is. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, you see the regular and stuff like that, and other people, you see the people that pick up trucks that clearly just got kicked out or something because it's, a bunch of random apartment furniture and a TV in the back or something.
But overall, the rest of it, there was a BMW.
Yeah, they had a table lashed to the top of it upside down with a bunch of crap piled in the middle of the table. That was also in one of the daily videos.
Yeah.
But no, that was just all ridiculous
and there
stuff.
was many others that we didn't catch on video. But the other thing that did not make it is the raging party that was shut down by the police.
Yeah, we got kicked out by the cops, and it was crazy. We were a bunch of hooligans.
Yes.
But actually,
yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, so when we stayed in Morrow, we stayed at the motel there, but there is another unnamed
bed and breakfast.
Bed and
I guess is
breakfast,
what I would call it.
basically, or not really. It's not really bed and breakfast, but like an Airbnb kind of thing.
Yeah.
Down the street that the track volunteers and the track organizers stayed at. So Tuesday night we went over there, no problem. Registered.
Had a bite to eat.
Had a bite to eat. Hung out. But then Wednesday is where things got interesting. As we were sitting in the living room, 10 or so people, being crazy, sitting around with their plates and forks, talking on a nominal level.
This is
things
when
got interesting.
That's when it all went down.
Yeah.
Now, this was not, just to be clear, this was no like kegger or anything. This is a bunch of like, I think the youngest person in the room was probably mid to late 20s. And everybody had just, we'd had long days out at the track. So everybody is like sitting with a paper plate in their lap, quietly eating their food. I think
maybe
50% of the people may have had a beer.
Yeah.
And this was clearly in the eyes of the landlord, we must have just been like straight up frat party mode.
Yeah, so it escalated really quickly. So in the beginning, we were just told, hey, that the landlord is uncomfortable with this many people in the house and that she would like us all to finish eating and get out.
Allegedly because of some operating licensure issue or insurance limitation on the occupancy of the house, which was supposedly 8 people, but...
So there were, So we all were told that, and we were like, oh, okay, no problem. We all just thought we would just keep talking and finish eating, and then we would leave. And then a few minutes later, a lady came in who I didn't know. I just assumed she was some random person that I didn't know. But she came in and looked at the raging party in the living room and said, okay, and then walked out. And I didn't know what was going on there.
But she was like, it was that like dynamic entry, like...
Kramer? Fraser? No, Kramer.
Yeah, like dynamic entry followed by a Kyle's mom, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, what's going on here? This is crazy.
And then left. But we didn't really realize the full extent of how weird things got until after.
So we were, we had already kind of finished our food and we had left, and we took the rest of our food rather and started to leave, and
we finished our food. Because we were almost at that point we were done. We did finish our food, but
we finished it as we were leaving. Right as a couple more people had shown up in the front. To the front door.
One person walked in the front door.
And then another group of folks came around to the back door because they knew all this was going on.
Yeah.
And
it was a barbecue.
At that point, they were told the group that was going around the back was told in no uncertain terms that they were to leave the property immediately, or the police were going to be called on them. And they, of course, they just walk into this blind. They have no idea. So we walk out, and there's a group of people standing on the street, and then they were like, "We just wanted some food." We passed a restaurant down there because we heard this was going on.
Well, so anybody who doesn't know, Morrow, this area,
very small town.
Yeah, so there is one cafe. It is in Grass Valley. It closes at 7, and this was probably 7:30.
Yeah.
By that point.
So
the closest other restaurant is like an hour.
So
away.
we ended up like we called back inside rather than walking back inside because we figured that was and we got some able to manage to arrange some food to be brought out to these folks, so they were they were set for dinner at that point in time, and they were like, okay, we've done our duty, so then we walked back, and as we were walking back, we see a police car going the other direction. We didn't think anything of it at the time, but as one of the other folks that was staying at the motel with us walked back in, he's like, yeah, so we just got kicked out by the cops. Apparently this the imagery was this lady was down like animatedly gesticulating wildly to this police officer about all these animals that were in her house without permission or something like that.
Her reasoning was I from talking to the people that were renting, the cop never came inside.
No, he didn't
several
care.
people came outside and just waved at him, and he waved, and that was it. I feel like the cops in that area are well aware.
This may not have been the first time.
But I will say that that she came in. She's the one who told everybody they had to leave, and then the cops got involved. But from talking to them, there was something I was going to say. It's gone now, so it doesn't matter. I
can't imagine though, and I feel for people in legitimate medical conditions here, but like I can't imagine the level of crippling anxiety that would lead to that level of like stress over okay, let's say there was a strict code occupancy of 8 people or whatever the case may be, exceeding that for a couple of hours. I mean, I guess, there's the chance that something happens and your insurance won't cover it, but that also, I'm not going to give any insurance advice here, but I've been in the industry and that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, what I was going to say is that I remembered what I was going to say. That from talking to them, I think some of her concern was the fact that people were drinking and driving. And she assured them that everybody had most people, like, we shared a cider.
And we walked home.
Well, I was going to say, we shared a cider, and literally everybody that was there was staying at the motel that was 4 blocks away. We all walked.
Anybody that was drinking there was staying at the motel and had walked down. Yeah. Just for the record.
So anyway, but yeah, so it was really interesting. I was trying to think of any other fun stories. I mean, that was definitely crazy.
I think we'll call it there before we get too long-winded here. We had, maybe
not
for
that
another day.
Already long-winded.
I know we're already. This is what happens when you start, talking about something that it was a very fun trip overall.
It was a fantastic
trip. We had a ton of fun, and 100% would do it again. Actually, 100% will do it again next year.
Absolutely, I'm already thinking of how we could do it again this year.
It won't line up with Car Week, so maybe we do it in the other order. Go to Car Week first, and then come back through Arizona.
I think that's a good plan.
Although we'd have to take like a month off or find somebody to crash in California. So if you live in
with
California and want to,
I know of an apartment that's empty.
NSX in your driveway for a month, and anyway.
But until then,
I'm Richard.
I'm Liz.
This is Lap of the World.
And we'll see you in the next video, if not at the track.